Salute, my Quick Classics friends. It's Dr. Judd Burton, your host for Quick Classics, your source for Greco-Roman and also Judeo-Christian classics and antiquities. Welcome to this Quick Classics on this April the 4th, 2024. Thought I'd say a few words about a post that I made on Facebook a couple of days about Moses being the first historian of Western tradition rather than Herodotus. As I said, this is a post that I made on Facebook the other day, and it created a bit of a stir. It's well, when you take as a historian training in the launch of your historiography classes, Herodotus is held up as the father of history, and also in anthropology is considered the father of anthropology. Herodotus, of course, was a Greek historian writing in the 5th century BC about the Greco-Persian Wars in his famous The Histories. But the first time that I ever heard Moses suggested as the first great historian of Western tradition was in Tim Mahoney's series Patterns of Evidence, and there was a historian he interviewed named David Roll, and who specializes in Egyptology, and he put this forward that it was Moses and not Herodotus, which really got me to thinking. When you look at the historian's craft, both Moses and Herodotus had similar goals in mind. And that is the recording of events and culture and building a culture narrative. And if you look at the Pentateuch, the Torah, that's what you have. You have culture, religion, history, genealogy, law. It's quite thorough in its historiographical scope. And it's interesting that if an earlier dating for Moses is correct in the Exodus, which I think it is, then Moses predates Herodotus and other Greek historians like Xenophon and Thucydides, predates these guys by at least 1,000 years. And another comment on the same thread that was interesting to me is well, what if Moses is just a myth that's culturally appropriated? Well, there's some interesting archaeological and historical evidence, linguistic evidence even, that really should put this contention to rest. For one, I would reference Manfred Betek's excavations at Avaris, where he firmly establishes that there were West Asiatics in Egypt hundreds of years before even the later date proposed for the Exodus. The traditional date is around 1200 during the reign of Ramesses II, but there's nothing really to suggest that Ramesses was the pharaoh of the Exodus. There are plague records from a village called Kahun. There are papyri that reference clearly Semitic ancient Levantine names in Egypt. So the presence for people from the area of Canaan in Egypt hundreds of years before Moses is already there. Another interesting point is if the Hebrews are going to fabricate a lawgiver, they're a great deliverer from bondage in Egypt, why would they give him a clearly Egyptian name? See, Moshe, is an Egyptian name. It doesn't enter into Hebrew usage until after the Exodus. So there are some compelling reasons outside of the Bible as a historical record itself. There are compelling reasons for Moses not only existing, but per the topic of this Quick Classics, that Moses is in fact the first historian of the West. And it may seem a little odd to think of him as the first historian in the West because, hey, he's in the ancient Near East, right? Well, Western tradition begins in the ancient Near East, and that's why I think that this is really a serious matter, I think, for not just historians, but Christians and people of all walks of life who care about history to begin to consider that the process of historiography really begins with Moses and likely his use of something called Proto-Sinaitic script. So, something to consider. I hope you guys have a great day. If you want to learn more about this, you can certainly take courses through the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. I teach not only on biblical civilization, ancient Near Eastern civilization, and Mediterranean civilization, so you can learn more about people like Moses and other writers in the Old Testament. And also, in the case of Mediterranean civilization, you can learn more about people like Herodotus and Thucydides. All right, Godspeed.